The next film we got was Eli Roth's Thanksgiving. So this has been
Nice.
doing the rounds on social media.
Mhm.
Cam, did you see it? I know Tyler did. You did
Nope,
see it, okay.
didn't get to it. I want to,
Me and
though.
Tyler, it's cool, man. Me and Tyler saw it. After a Black Friday riot ends in tragedy, a mysterious Thanksgiving-inspired killer terrorizes Plymouth, Massachusetts, the birthplace of the holiday, picking off residents one by one. What begins as random revenge killings are soon to be revealed as part of a larger, sinister holiday plan. Now, this is directed by Eli Roth, who his films... I don't know how many you've seen, Tyler. I've seen like 6 of his films. The highest I've ever given a film is 3. Before
he's
this,
also, for people who don't know, Eli Roth, he's the Bear Jew in Inglourious Bastards.
He is, yeah, he is, yeah. But his films are very divisive. I don't really like them most of the time. Well, other than this one, which obviously we'll get into. Tyler, I'm intrigued by your thoughts. I actually didn't see your review yet. I think you put it out, but I didn't have a look at it. So if you want to give your, like, I guess, spoiler-free thoughts, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, there's not a ton I want to say without getting into like the more spoilery territory. So I'll go super quick with my thoughts. So I thought the kills were super great. All like probably like 5 or 6 of the kills in this movie would be like the craziest kill in any Scream or any Halloween movie. Like the kills are just crazy. But other than that, I don't think there's a lot there for me. I thought like I still really enjoyed it. I give it 3.5 out of 5. Like it's a fun movie. The story though, like none of the characters I cared about at all. Like I didn't think that like every Scream movie ever, I've cared more about the characters. Just an unfortunate like circumstance for me is that like I've never guessed it, and I'm not trying to say like, oh, I'm so smart. Like I've never guessed a Scream killer right before. But this movie, 5 minutes into it, I'm like, oh, he's a killer. And then it was him. And I was like, kind of took a little bit of the intrigue away from it for me. Cause I was like,
so it's not Addison Rae is what you're telling me. You said
no,
it might be Addison Rae.
Could be.
Well, you realize pretty quick the person's strong. So like, it wouldn't be like nothing against women, but like this, he's like lifting people up and chucking people. Like it's clearly a he. But yeah. And he's also tall. I don't know. The story, I was like, it's fine. I wasn't super invested in it. I thought it was a fun setting to do like the Black Friday, Thanksgiving, John Carver lore, like Pilgrim suit. I thought that was kind of fun. And I thought the kills were super great. Like I said, it's kind of like an unrelenting movie. Once it gets going, it doesn't really stop, but I wasn't really interested in any of the characters. And I wasn't really like by the time the movie ended, I was like, oh, that was fun. But like, I think the kills carried the movie for me personally, but I gave it 3.5 out of 5, but I was between like a 3 and 3.5, so that kind of gives you a better idea where I was leaning. I wasn't as in love with this as most people were, but I thought the kills were awesome, and I think it's a super fun time in the theater. It was only me and 2 elderly women in my theater. Bonkers for those 2 women to go to it, but also really annoying because like,
can I pause real quick?
Go ahead.
Are we alive? Did anyone else like have that like cut out? Was it just me?
Yeah. What happened?
Wait, okay. It cut out for like 5 seconds, and then everyone was gone. And then we were back, and then I just caught the end.
Seth, did you hear everything I was saying? Did I cut out for you at all?
No, not at all.
Okay, we're good then.
All right, cool.
But yeah, so 2 elderly women in my theater, really annoying. So shout out you guys for being really annoying because it's a whodunit. You don't know who the killer is, so they decide to just openly talk the entire movie about like, oh, I wonder if it's that person. Like, oh no, it's probably not gonna be that person. Full volume talking, and I'm like 7 rows away. I'm not close to them, and I'm hearing everything. I'm like, you guys are getting on my last nerve right now, just analyzing every moment of this movie, trying to guess who the killer is. I'm like, you need to shut up, or else I'm gonna freaking John Carver you guys. But yeah, 3.5 out of 5. You're up, Seth.
Yeah, I liked this a lot more than I thought I would, especially with Eli Roth and modern horror, modern slashers. Apart from like Scream, the recent Scream, I can't remember the last slasher I've liked in general.
Terrifier.
I didn't like Terrifier either of them.
Yeah,
not at all. I think that. I mean, parallels. I said this in my review. Parallels will and like have been drawn to Scream, which are perfectly understandable. It's very clearly a homage. You know, it's a trope-filled but self-aware whodunit. That's just like made more enjoyable by its creativity with the kills, and obviously. Spoilers, it's kind of a weird one. We can obviously touch on who the killer is, but I think mainly I want to talk about some of the kills because some of them were really
right. Same here, yeah.
Yeah, that's like the main thing in Slash is like how far can they push it? And I know there's one particular one, Tyler, I really want to touch on, which I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it was energetic. It like had transitions tonally between like comedy. Some of it I thought was actually genuinely funny, and then really sadistic violence, which is always a plus when it comes to a slasher. And you kind of know what you're getting into with the opening scene. I 5 minutes in, I was like, I don't think I'm going to like this. And then this isn't a spoiler. The supermarket scene or the store scene hit, and I was like,
bananas.
Shit, that's crazy. Like it was like high octane shit, like straight away, and I was like, okay, that's kind of crazy. But it is like as ridiculous as it gets, and I think that's where it shines in general. Character wise, yeah, like not huge on anyone. There was a few I liked. Like I didn't like hate any of the characters, but I don't really watch this for the narrative. You know what I mean? But I also think it was pretty cool. Like I think it was a pretty cool idea, especially for a Thanksgiving film. Pretty cool idea. It's not really one to touch on. I give it a 4, so I actually really, really liked it. It's like my second favorite horror of the year so far. So pretty high up, just above Talk to Me and just below When Evil Lurks. Although Talk to Me and this are like very neck and neck, so I'm not sure. But I think we'll get into spoilers. Again, spoilers are a weird one. I wanted to touch on the kills first.
Yeah, go for it.
Can you guess what kill was my favorite?
Was it the trampoline one?
No.
Was it the?
Although that was cool.
I'm trying to think. What? I don't know. I'm blanking. What would your favorite one be?
It was the oven one, the turkey one.
Oh yeah, that was gnarly.
So there's one scene, if you haven't seen it, where if you haven't seen it, don't listen to this bit yet. But John Carver, the killer, puts a woman inside an oven like a turkey, and then puts like a little thermometer thing, like sticks it in her. And this man literally, this like human-sized oven just burns her alive. I was like, that made me feel like claustrophobic. Do you know what I mean? Like it was like the worst way to go. And I thought it was crazy. You just see her slowly burning. Or like the trampoline one where there's like a girl jumping on a trampoline and he's just underneath with a knife, just like stabbing every time she lands. I thought it was crazy. I thought the kills are really, really good in this, like really efficient. I think Eli Roth, if you haven't seen any of his films before, one thing I will say is that he's very good at not only practical effects with gore. You know, we saw it in the end sequence, for example, when the guy's head is just getting smashed in by that bat, and his brain, his everything, it's just matter at that point. He's really good at utilizing not only good practical effects, but actually getting the most out of the kills and the situations. He obviously famously did Hostel, which is one of the the goriest films I've ever seen, probably. And he works in the kills really well. In that they're kind of, in general, that they are quite far and few between. There's not that many. I don't actually know the official count, but we kind of go on this path where it's it's very much whodunit. So obviously there's a supermarket scene at the start. Really, supermarket is like Black Friday sales, Black Friday deals. They get trampled to fuck. Like I think like 3 people die because everyone's just trampling over them. Like I think one woman dies and like her fucking head is like
gets ripped off. Yeah.
What happens to her again?
So she
like trolley, wasn't it?
She like trips and then a trolley hits her in the head and then her hair gets caught in the wheel.
The skin with her. The trolley's just rolling off with the skin on it. It's like this all happens. I don't know if I should touch on the killer yet, but the killer loses a close one in that scenario. And then it basically goes from there, and it's like a whodunit with Addison Rae, who's obviously famously in it, who's really not even bad. Like people go on about
yeah, but she had like 2 lines. Like didn't do, like people who are saying she was like amazing in this are just simping hard. She was like not like she was just not in this movie much. Most of the movie she was just sitting there doing nothing.
She probably had like 10 minutes of screen time, realistically.
Yeah.
Like she wasn't. It's just
and a lot of that screen time was her in like the backseat of a car while people are driving or something. Like she wasn't.
Yeah, she was like you can tell why they used her for marketing because obviously she's the biggest name in the film realistically. But I think that so obviously they go off and they try and they're trying to figure out who's doing the killings, who's off, and they have like what is it, Instagram, like John Carver on Instagram tagging them with photos around like a Thanksgiving dinner table with like their names on the plates and stuff. They're trying to find out what happens. Who's the first one to die? I'm trying to think now.
Well, the woman who was like super into the Black Friday deal that I think maybe was the one who knocked over the killer's like love interest because she was the one who was like in the bar or whatever, got her face ripped off by the freezer.
Oh,
and then got cut in half of the dumpster. Yeah.
She's a waitress, and then like she's the John Carver, the main villain, finds her in like the kitchen, chases her, tries to stab her, whatever, and that was a crazy scene. Like she's outside, she's running off. He drives literally into her like with a car as she's next to this like dumpster, this like big, what do you call it there?
Dumpster, yeah,
dumpster, whatever.
Yeah.
And then he pushes her in as it opens, and then it closes and just slices her in half. Crazy, like it's so over the top. And then obviously they're kind of dying one by one. There's so what the main character, her dad's played by Rick Hoffman, I think it is.
Yeah, because he was recognize him.
He's in some of the Eli Roth's other films. That's the only reason I know him. is basically he's like the owner of this supermarket, and he's like trying to continue to push the Thanksgiving deals, Black Friday deals, along with his wife, who's like the main character's stepmom at this stage, I think.
Yeah.
They're trying to push it. The characters basically killed off one by one. There's like a whole thing about who done it, whatever. Do we want to get into who the killer is, kind of thing?
Yeah, sure. It'd be easier to talk about, I guess.
So obviously the kind of end reveal, we'll go into stuff before this, but the end reveal is, I think what happens now. So the main character has like a boyfriend or an ex-boyfriend who like broke his arm at the start badly. Remember, it was like crazy out of place.
And he was like a baseball star, and it kind of ruined his career.
Yeah, like, it ruined his career. So he like takes off for like a year and just goes like invisible. No one hears from him, whatever. He comes back. He's like trying to solve the case with the main character. Classic whodunit kind of stuff. And then at the end, there's like a sheriff in a town who is played by Patrick Dempsey. And at the end, Patrick Dempsey convinces the main character that the villain is, or like tricks it into the main character being the villain, being her ex-boyfriend. We basically find out it was a setup the whole time, and the villain is the sheriff. I'll be honest, Tyler. I'm usually quite good. I actually didn't see it coming because I had it set so much into my mind that it was going to be the ex-boyfriend, and then when it found out the reveal, I was like, kind of disappointing. So it actually kind of, like, in a way, got me. It was obviously suspicions, but you had to find out the sheriff's there. I know you said that was like you predicted that from the get-go.
Yeah, and like again, like I'm not trying to be like say like I was super smart or anything. It just happened to like for some reason the very first time we see Patrick Dempsey, he walks in, and the woman's like he had a pumpkin pie, which like notoriously is just like a classic. Like, oh, he probably just picked it up from the store. But he's like very adamant. He's like, no, I cooked it. And she's like, wow, a single man who like knows how to bake. And he's like, yeah, I got a lot of time on my hands. I was like, yeah, like he's okay. He's probably the kid, because I knew like he was setting up like a big feast, and he was like made 2 comments about like how he's like, no, I cooked this myself. I was like, yeah, I feel like he's like the guy. And like also the thing is, this movie had a floating heads poster, but Addison Rae is the only, and Patrick Dempsey, I guess, like the only people know. So like the point of I feel like they didn't know the point of the floating heads poster is to showcase the stars.
A lot of the people in this, it was like their first ever roles.
Right. So it's like, what are you doing? Like, and that's like another big thing is like usually in whodunit, like think of all the screams, like whodunit killers, like Emma Roberts, Timothy Olyphant, or like name brand actors.
Yeah.
So I was just like, it's just, you got, but like you said, the ex-boyfriend, the guy who broke his arm, as well as her new boyfriend, are kind of like what the movie's setting you up. Like it's one of them, because they're always gone when the killings happen. And like after the killing happens, like they'll both like kind of run in at the same time, be like, oh my God, are you guys okay? And it's kind of like, they're kind of setting those two up to be like the suspects the whole time. And you're like, which one do you think it's going to be? And then of course it's like, the rug pull is neither of them. But yeah, no, it's because we can find out like, and again, like even the main actress, I'd never seen her in anything before. I'm trying to get her name.
I'm pretty sure it was her first role as well.
Yeah, it's her second film ever. Okay. Yeah, but Nell is her Verlac, but she's like the main girl. And yeah, like you said at the end, like the sheriff kind of has her. Everything's kind of solved. It's all good. We're okay. And then she kind of realizes that the sheriff was the person who was doing it, and because like I think the shoes she recognized or whatever from earlier. And
they had like something on it. I can't remember what it was now, but it had something on it that was from like something that happened earlier on. I can't remember what it was now, but yeah, like it was definitely the shoes, wasn't it?
The shoes. But yeah, a lot of cool, like the final like chase to get them down to where the big dinner was happening with, the phones live streaming, but the live stream is actually just recording like a laptop screen. Like a lot of creative, like little twists and turns there. But also kind of like the fact that they were in the John Carver house, I was a little like, isn't that like place number 1 you would look like a guy's a John Carver killer, like he's obsessed with like, and like they have like literally the landmark house, and that ended up being like where they were. I'm like, isn't that like place 1 you look, especially because it was vandalized earlier in the movie and the axe was stolen from it. So I'm like, why isn't that like the place you're checking first? It's like,
I mean, to be fair, like, again, like this film is, I don't really care about the narrative. Sure. No, I like how done it. I like these little like twists, these little like pretty well executed turns and moments, but and comedic effect as well. But really, what I'm watching this for is the kills, the suspense, the like as Americans like to say, gnarly nature of it. Yeah. I think that's kind of what you look for, because there are obvious. It's not. I'm trying to think of a great whodunit. It's not something that. It's not something that I will look for its narrative, but it's something I think I'll rewatch. You know what I mean? Because
It's fun.
really
It's
has
quick.
been
It's
long.
short. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I will say, I think it could have been shorter. To be honest, that's one like critique I had. I think it was like an hour 45, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You could have pushed this down a little bit. There were certain moments where I was like, you could push this down, but yeah,
But
like,
for the most part, once that supermarket scene hits, it kind of just kicks into high gear and just is unrelenting. Because you start with a waitress kill, and then someone gets decapitated next, like a head cut off. But how did that happen?
It was the main like worker at the supermarket that day. One of the like security
The
guys,
one who ran away or whatever, or
the tall guy.
Yeah.
He gets his head cut off. That's
he does the thing where like that's a cool scene where like he kind of like gets the wire around him, like twists around, like bends back, like, rips his head off.
Wait, no, I'm thinking wrong. That is the guy from the school, isn't it?
The tall guy.
So the trampoline thing happens, doesn't it?
That's a little later. The second kill was the fat security guard who ran away in the beginning.
Oh, because the trampoline thing, the guy gets his head like his neck.
Yeah.
Like an owl, literally turned around
Right.
as she's on the trampoline.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, because that's the security guard from the like shop gets head cut off at the start, doesn't it?
And then the cat gets fed. That was funny. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he just feeds the cat. That was great. What were the other kills happen now? And then after that, I think you died.
Like you said, there's not a ton of kills because his main thing is like he wants to keep them alive and bring them to like the final dinner. So he only killed a couple people. Most people use more like kidnapping to get to that final dinner. But
there's the scene with Yulia, the one with the like I think it was a Russian dad. I'm assuming.
Oh yeah.
Eastern European dad. They get killed in the house along with the policeman who's already there, or the security were already there. I can't remember how that happens now. And then she gets captured. Oh, her death scene is crazy. Do you remember that?
The table saw?
Yeah, when she goes straight to tables in front of her boyfriend and she just gets completely ripped apart. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I think who dies as well. Who dies after that? Jesus.
That scene reminded me a lot of like in a Scream movie where like when they look across to the house across the street and they see like the cop that was there get killed, and then like they just see their friend get killed like right in front of them or whatever. But the killer gets away. But a lot of homages to Scream for sure, like you said.
Yeah, most definitely.
But yeah, like the final whodunit wraps up, and I don't know if you've seen this movie. Have you seen the Guest from 2014? Like a war veteran comes back and his partner was killed in the war, so he like goes back to the family and like comforts them, but then kind of you quickly realize he's like messed up in the head.
No, I haven't, but I know exactly what film it is. Is it good?
I mean, I haven't seen it in a long time, but I thought it was like not bad, not good. But the end of that movie reminded me a lot of the end of this movie, because the end of this movie is ambiguous. There's a big explosion, and they're like, no one could have survived that. And you see like 3 firefighters walk out with masks on. So
that sounds really cool. Yeah,
ambiguous. The Guest.
Yeah, it sounds really cool.
Yeah, no, I liked my time with it, but the end of this movie, you don't really know if Patrick Dempsey's alive or not. They kind of leave it ambiguous.
Yeah.
I think it's ambiguous because it's basically like, is this going to make a lot of money? He's alive. Is this not going to make a lot of money? He died. Like, leave it open.
If they make more of these, I'll watch them. Like, I'll be there. Like, it's like Scream, where it's like I'm going for the self-aware tropes. I'm going for the jokes. I'm going for the crazy kills, and it's just they can make an unlimited amount, and I'll always be there to watch them. That's the thing.
Do you think they'll go the Halloween route where it'll be a Thanksgiving, every Thanksgiving, like either the same guy or someone inspired by it will do Thanksgiving kills?
I think so, yeah. Probably.
Which I'd like. I don't know. I like the setting.
How well has this done so far in this opening weekend?
I don't know, but it's a horror movie, so I'm sure it'll do great. And it's getting great word of mouth. So even if it didn't do like amazing this weekend, I'm sure like next weekend it won't drop off as much.
I can't imagine the budget was like crazy high.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see this shit. So the budget was 15 million. So I can't imagine them not being able to turn around and make that, to be honest.
Yeah. And this looks like it might be. So the original Thanksgiving short that he directed for Grindhouse,
2007.
Was that like one of his first things he ever directed?
So no, so the try and work this out. So the original, I know he did like a 10-minute one or whatever. But he's been wanting to do this particular film for a while. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hostel might have been his first solo feature, which was like 2004, 2005.
Mm.
But I know he had in his mind to make Thanksgiving for like ages, and this was like a screenplay he'd written a long time ago. I think, anyway. So I'm pretty sure Hostel was his first film.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Yep. 2005. But yeah, so it's cool that it was kind of like a lifelong project of his he wanted to make, and he got to make it. And yeah, it was fun. I had a good time with it. I wasn't like in love with it, but definitely it was worth the theater trip for sure. And it was fun seeing it in a theater because a lot of suspense, a lot of cool kills, a lot of cheap jump scares, like a lot of cheap jump scares that I was kind of like,
none of them worked.
Yeah, I was getting kind of annoyed during the theater because I was like, and like, yeah, they really tried to make them work in a cheap way where it's like, it was normally a jump scare, is a loud bang, but like this one, I felt like they were even going like 10 times the normal loudness where my theater was like, I wasn't getting jumpy. I was just like, this is like hurting my ears, dude. Like, I know it's coming, just like, and it happened. There's like probably 12 of them. Like, there's just a ton of like the classic ones.
I agree.
But like you said, that's not the point of these movies is kind of the kills and the fun creativity with it, not really the whodunit nature or the other stuff. So I think that's what holds it back from being like a true like 4.5 out of 5, like a true like Scream 1, like the original, like the iconic level of it. Like it kind of misses some of the other beats, but I had a fun time with it. If they do make sequels, I want to care a little more about the characters next time, just because I don't know how long you can get away with the characters just not being really that interesting. But for a one-off, it's really good, and I would definitely watch another one for sure.
Yeah, so I give it a 4. Tyler obviously gave it a 3.5.